What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a Salvia trip report for you. The title of this trip report is Amazing Clarity, and was submitted to Earwid in 2009 by the user Matt. With all that being said, let our story begin. This is definitely one of the best trips I have ever had with any substance. Prior to this experience, I had attempted twice to use the mystical herb, but with no substantial effects. Unfortunately, I did not record the exact dosage that I used, so it's difficult to say how much I actually used. In retrospect, I also realized that I was quite irresponsible in my use of salvia. I had no sitter. I did it where my parents could easily walk in and disturb me. And I was a little frustrated with my previous experiences. My first attempt. I went through a lot of research and sought out a place and a time to buy and use the salvia. Seeing as I am only 16, I cannot legally buy the substance, so I got a friend of mine to buy it for me at a local smoke shop. I purchased a small capsule full of Salvia 20x potency. The capsule was about the same diameter as a golf ball, but only half an inch thick. I met up with a friend of mine, and we got together at his house and started. We had another friend come over to be a sitter for us, and we prepared the room properly. We hid all the sharp objects, turned off any electronics that made noise or moved or anything like that. We then prepared a bowl for each of us, thinking that we wouldn't need much in order to produce the effects. Well, after several hits, I began to feel very heavy, as if the Earth's gravity was suddenly amplified. I mistook this for the beginning of my trip, so my sitter took my pipe, and I leaned back in my chair. I waited about 20 minutes with no effects. I was quite disappointed, so I did not continue, knowing that a bad mindset might lead to a bad trip. My second attempt was basically the same, except I was alone. My third attempt. This is where things get interesting. I made the same preparations as both the previous times, and I took a shower beforehand, which always relaxes me. I sat down in my room and prepared a much larger amount of salvia, thinking that I was doing everything right the previous times, just that I hadn't consumed enough in order to produce the desired effects. I held my pipe to my mouth and lit it up. I took a good long hit off of it and held it in for about 20 seconds before I let it out. I repeated this step several times and began to feel very heavy again. I knew that I wasn't done yet, and I set up my next bowl and repeated the previous steps. I was now quite excited and began to feel different. I am not really sure what I mean by different, but everything around me and everything about me just seemed more meaningful, but I can't say how. I took 2 more hits before I dropped everything completely, on account of not being able to hold up against all the weight being pressed on me. It was as if a huge piece of flexible cement was placed on me, allowing me to breathe but not move. I was trying to think about what I was feeling when my room suddenly shifted and became tinted with several different shades of green. Before I could realize what was going on, I suddenly shot forward and felt myself moving very, very fast. I tried to look around, but I simply couldn't move. Just as my motion had started, it ended. suddenly and instantly. I couldn't understand what was going on and realized that it was silly to even try. I had no idea where I was and realized that it didn't really matter. I took a lot of comfort in this realization and became quite comfortable in my disorientation. I began to feel a presence beside me, as if some invisible entity were tugging at my sleeve and alerting me to its presence. At this point, I was feeling quite ecstatic, hardly able to contain myself. By now, I had totally lost all track of time, as if time never existed. I thought I would be like this forever, and found a lot of happiness in that thought. The presence next to me became more pronounced and began to take a physical and psychological shape. To my eyes, it appeared as a vague, shadowy figure, but it didn't have very many human characteristics. One thing that I caught very distinctly was this figure's personality and its lack of facial features. This figure didn't actually seem to have a face at all, but I could feel it looking at me. I also felt that this was a friendly spirit, someone that I could trust and respect. I also got the impression that this was a female spirit, and I wondered to myself now, how can a spirit be male or female? The figure raised its face to mine to be exactly in front of me, about 6 inches away from my nose. I could feel a strange wind drift through me, making my hair flutter and causing me to shiver. I closed my eyes for a moment, as to regain some control over what I was seeing. Just a moment after I closed my eyes, another set of eyes opened in the blackness. They were a fiery, golden orange pair of eyes, and I suddenly felt as if I were being severely violated in some way. I opened my mouth as if to scream, but no sound came out. I began to get upset, but a soothing voice said to me, "Fear me not, for I seek to release you. Embrace your pain and you shall never falter. I will protect you." No one actually said this. It was just a thought that seemed to be placed in my head. I was still quite agitated, but I did as I was told. The events that followed are still not totally clear to me. She began to sift through me and showed me what she saw. I am not sure how long this went on account of time's absence from this land. It was suddenly interrupted, and I came literally crashing back to reality. When she was sifting through me, it was as if she was literally going through every fiber of my being and explaining what she saw. I was looking at myself, totally uncovered and undeniably obvious. There was no pretense here, and I achieved a state of mental clarity that continues to amaze me even now. I am looking forward to using Salvia again, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing her again, whoever she is.